Hello! This is Out of the Darkness. I thought I'd just go way overboard on that because I always wanted to do it, so we did it. Never going to do it again. But I am your...
Man, that's a little disappointing.
Well,
that was a nice, enthusiastic start to the show.
It was. I mean, I am enthusiastic,
It actually got my blood going, like, yeah, we're doing this.
It's game time. Get it!
Yeah, I felt less lethargic.
Well, it is, evening time, so... But as I was saying, welcome to Out of the Darkness. I am your host, Q, and my lovely co-host,
oh dear,
Soter.
I suppose it is that month, so it's okay.
Which month?
It's Pride Month, man.
Oh,
all of June.
And I've got pride all the time. Like,
well,
I'm always...
It's really the only month that I can maybe do.
What? What are we talking about exactly?
I guess I don't know what we're talking about.
I think we're talking about two totally different things.
As a white man,
there
are very few things I can take with pride.
You're not allowed to be proud of much.
Very little.
You can't be proud of your heritage, first and foremost.
I can't be proud of my heritage.
Nope.
I can't be proud of my skin color. But
no,
if I was LGBTQAIP plus 235,
carry the one,
then I could have pride.
You could have pride.
And this month, I could celebrate.
But that would make you a minority, so...
Yeah, but I'm not. So this is the closest I can come to being prideful of who I am.
But can't you have American pride, though? Can't you be
no,
proud of being...
that is not acceptable.
And I'm proud to be an American.
No, absolutely not.
Where at least I know I'm free. Yeah, I think
I'm
you
free?
can be.
I don't feel very free.
You should. Freedom is a state of mind, really.
I agree. But
it's a state of mind. If you don't feel free, that's a personal issue. You need to work on that.
I don't think. All right. In particular, 2 points.
Okay.
Taxes. Which are horrible.
Yeah.
And 2, firearms.
I'm going to make a proposal.
What's that?
That we add an E to the end of tax, so it then becomes officially a 4-letter word.
What if we do
TAXE? Tax.
I suppose it would be tax, wouldn't it?
It would be tax.
Because we have axe.
Yep. Yeah. So that makes it a 4-letter word.
I like that. I'm going to put this in the show notes.
Yeah. Tax becomes tax. There you go.
We need to do the shirt of that.
We do. Down with the tax.
Yeah.
Yeah. The newest 4-letter word.
I love the memes that come out of this show. Well, I guess it's more specifically Sandy Beige came out of Dick Ricada's show.
Technically, but it was me, though.
Yeah.
So
I just love his audience and Dick Masterson's audience.
Yeah.
They just come up with memes all the time. I don't know how they do it. They're just brilliant guys.
They got nothing better to do but to meme, I guess. Which I wish I could be like you. I'm just not that creative. So, sorry. But yeah, so anyway, we're talking about all the things you can take pride in. So you take pride in, you're proud of your kids, right?
I'm not supposed to.
Why not?
Because I'm a straight white male. I can't be proud of anything.
Be proud of your children.
But that's white pride.
Well, you can be proud of your daughters.
Also yes. White pride.
Well, no, it's not white pride. Your daughters are girls, so
yeah,
girls...
But I don't want them to be feminists.
Why not? I mean, feminism is not a bad... modern day toxic feminism is the problem.
Bad. But, it's kind of like, if you start going down that road, kind of slippery slope.
See, okay, so my issue with modern day feminism is that I feel that modern day feminism, similar to the modern, Black Pride movement, is that, again, while we should all be striving for equality, you don't get equality by putting down the other side or by attempting to one up the other side. Like that in its very definition is not equality. If you don't get equality you should get equality by elevating your side, but not necessarily diminishing the other side, right? I feel that there's this movement to pull the other side down so that you are equal on a lower level, as opposed to raising your side up to where you are both equal. So don't
if we can't all be happy, we might as well be miserable.
Let's
is
all
not
roll
the
in the
method
mire
to go.
together.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's
No,
the way
that's
to go.
the opposite of what you're trying to say.
That's
You're saying that the modern black pride and feminists is, well, we're going to be, since we're unhappy, we're going to make everyone unhappy. Then we'll all be equal.
yeah.
Except they're not quite expressing it that way.
Well, but
that's
I don't.
the end result.
I really don't think that equality is the end result at all. I feel that the end result is to elevate one race above the other, and to knock another race off of its perceived pedestal, and to end the patriarchy by giving us a matriarchy. Not necessarily to give women an equal status in society, but to give us a matriarchy over a patriarchy, which that's where the problem becomes, because of the casualties that come about as it's in attempting to dismantle the so-called patriarchy, which I don't believe that we really have a patriarchal society, not in America. Women have kind of run the world from the beginning, but we can, at least America. Patriarchies, yeah, we could talk about that in the Middle East. There's patriarchies for sure, but we don't talk about those. Those are okay. I see that Netflix decided to continue to produce in the Middle East, where
that's interesting.
Sharia law is currently in effect, and therefore it is illegal to be gay, and also illegal to have abortions. So they will continue to record there. So essentially, they are looking to leave Georgia, which is in the United States. Netflix is a U.S. company. Leave Georgia because of a bill that the people of Georgia approved, and move more production to the Middle East, where in countries where Sharia law is in effect. So I find that interesting. And yeah, I know that I'm not supposed to talk about these types of things on YouTube, but I really don't give a rat's ass.
We are definitely going to be banned someday.
It's fine.
As long as we don't talk about Vox, I think we might be okay.
I give zero attention to that thing. So
the Steven Crowder Vox.
I give no that thing. We don't mention it.
Okay.
Hallowed be thy name.
Which one?
No. But anyway, so to move on. So did you hear about the shooting that took place this past weekend?
In Virginia Beach or in Detroit?
No. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, so you said shooting, not shootings.
Well, it should be the shooting. As in, the interesting part about shooting is that it can be multiple shots or it can be single shots. But no, I'm specifically talking about the ones that they're not talking about in the media 24/7. I'm talking about the 52 people now who were shot in the city of Chicago.
That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people. And it wasn't just in one building. It was all over the...
So multiple things going on.
The problem that I have is that they continue to refer to it as a gun problem. And I don't understand how it is a gun problem.
Oh, yeah, you can't have shootings if you don't have guns.
But it's not necessarily a gun problem, though. Because, I mean, Chicago, have you seen what it takes to get a gun in Chicago?
It's been a long time, but I remember it being very involved and a lot of hoops to go through.
Okay, so I bought guns in Texas. I've bought guns in Minnesota. I have to essentially, in the state of Minnesota, I have to have either a permit to purchase or I have to have a carry permit. Okay, in order to get a carry permit, I have to go into... I have to take a class. I have to pay for that class. I have to do range time to prove that I am somewhat proficient. that I can hit the paper
that seems to be the requirement
at 9 yards or whatever it is. Then I have to go into the sheriff's department and I have to go through a background check in order to get my carry permit. Once I have procured my carry permit, then I'm free for 5 years to purchase any firearms that are legal to purchase. That's a slippery slope. But yeah, so obviously we can't go out and buy any firearm we want, but we can go out and buy firearms that fit under the specific class of weapons that the ATF allows us to own.
Yay.
Another show, another time. But anyway, so then I have to go through another background check, which no one ever talks about. Everyone talks about background checks being necessary. I've never bought a firearm where I did not have to fill out an application and then said store owner or whoever it might be has to call in to the is it the ATF or is it the FBI?
I think it's the FBI. I forget what the acronym of the department is, but I think it's under the FBI.
But they have to call in and they have to give them my information, my social. They put me into a system, and then they have to get a yay or nay as to whether or not I can own that. Now, there's times, it's never happened to me. Why did I just say that?
Where you've gotten
where I've gotten
approved?
Flagged. Yeah, they've never been approved ever. But no, but there's times where you're flagged where they say no, you can't get it right now. You're gonna have to wait up to 72 hours for them to approve that flag.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just, I mean, this media narrative that anybody, any Joe Blow that wants to go out and get a firearm can just go. It's easier to get a firearm in neighborhoods than it is to get a book. Bull crap. I mean, the idea that you have to go through background checks. Now, in Texas, I just went into the store. I filled out my application. I put my pertinent information on that. Didn't have to have a permit to purchase or anything like that. The store owner or the worker there would call that information in, and as long as I was approved, I could essentially walk out with a firearm. Okay. But Minnesota has a couple more steps that you have to go through. So in the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago in particular, you have to send in for a firearm owner identification card or a FOID. You can't even buy ammunition
without the
FOID card. Okay, cost you $10, and the wait time is up to 30 days to get your FOID card. So you think, well, once I have my FOID card, then I can go and buy a firearm. Oh, no, you can't. The second step is you have to complete a firearm safety course. So state certified instructors only. Now, this is not a carry permit. This is just to prove that you are proficient enough to own a weapon. Okay? It's going to cost you about $135. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So tell me this. Now I was told that you could not require people to have voter ID because
I was about to make a racial joke.
Well, I mean,
wow, this seems a little bit racist.
Well, I mean, really and truly, because it's gonna cause an issue that's going to be disproportionately oppressive, right?
Mm-hmm.
In poor communities, which typically have a larger demographic of people of color. I think I said that pretty nice, right?
Yeah, that's probably
the bottom line is black folks and brown folks are going to have a harder time as a whole affording this $125 to $135 fee or class or course. And it's going to be a 4-hour course, okay? And it's going to be 1 hour of range time.
Still
right?
Cheaper than Minnesota.
Well, not really. You can get Groupon deals, but okay. But I digress. Then you have to apply for a Chicago firearms permit. Okay. So along with a signed affidavit from the firearms instructor, You have to submit a yellow CFP application with a picture of yourself with that. And that's another $100 to get this firearms permit, right? So you now have a safety course certification. You now have a FOID card, and you now have a Chicago firearms permit. Then you get to go and purchase your gun.
Oh, now we get to?
Now you get to purchase your
now
gun.
We get to.
And of course, the cost of the gun is going to be, only God knows. But you still have to go fill out the same paperwork that we have to fill out here, and that's up to 72-hour waiting period for that, right? Then once you have it, you have to register your weapon. You have 5 business days after your date of purchase to register your weapon. If you do not register within that period of time, that weapon then becomes unregisterable, which means you are putting yourself at risk of being caught with an unregistered weapon, which can include jail time. And the registration is going to cost you $15 per weapon. So tell me how, after all these background checks, after all of these things, how are they having 52 people in a single weekend?
Must have like a loan program at the library.
I'm getting really frustrated by this. And you know what? And at some point, someone's going to have to stand up and say, where are these shootings taking place? And it's gun violence. Chicago doesn't have a gun problem. It has a gang problem, right? Which stems from the fact that, as we've said before, that 75% of African-American children are being born into single-parent households. They are being raised by women, single women. And so we don't want to talk about that, because at that point, this idea that women can do anything a man can do except for raise sons that don't go out and kill each other. Yeah, I said it. So instead of talking about this, and I'm not saying, let's be adults about this. I'm not saying that all women raise men that go out and kill each other. That's not what I'm saying. There are a lot of, a single white woman gave us our first black president. So let's not be unfair here, right? So I digress. Boy, I'm gonna get in trouble about this one. You guys help me with my legal fees after this. So okay, but we're all fact though, all fact. So we are incentivizing women to raise men in poor neighborhoods and black neighborhoods. We're incentivizing them to raise them without fathers in the home, right? You can get a lot more assistance by raising a son or child by yourself than what you can if you have a father. And just what it is. And it's going to be a lot more money coming in by raising that child by yourself than it would be if you had a husband who worked a minimum wage or low wage job, and you worked a low wage job. You would struggle a lot more than what you would if you kicked the man out and now got food vouchers, rental vouchers, vouchers for utilities, obviously free education, free health care. I mean, you can do the math, all the bennies that come along with it. So people have been deeply incentivized to be single parents or single mothers, sorry. And then we wonder why we're seeing this lawlessness in these particular neighborhoods. I mean, I was terrified to do certain things when I was a kid for fear that my dad would find out and I would be in deep, deep trouble.
That was the worst.
When my mom said, go to your room and wait for your dad to get home, I was literally terrified.
That was the worst.
Literally terrified.
You know you screwed up.
I knew I screwed up, but as I became a teenager, that fear actually transitioned to a healthy respect. I genuinely respected my father, right? And I wanted to emulate him in a lot of ways. Now, obviously, there were things that he did that I didn't like, but I still never lost the respect for my father. And I felt like he taught me how to be a man, how to be respectful, how to be honorable, how to treat a woman, how to conduct myself in a manner that was worthy of gaining respect of others, right? Um, if you raise a child in a home without that, you're doing that child a great disservice. I'm going to be very honest with you. Now, there's situations where that's unavoidable. I get it. You do the best you can. But you're not going to convince me that 75% of these situations are unavoidable. Bull crap. They're not. They're not unavoidable. But people are deciding that for themselves, right? But here we see a situation where we've added all of these steps in, and what has it done? It's left people that are most vulnerable to these types of attacks unable to even go out and afford a weapon to protect themselves.
Adding cost of a weapon.
Yeah, it's going to cost easily. I mean, you can go out and buy a high point 9mm for less than what you're going to pay for just the.
Aren't they like 150, 99 bucks, something around there?
Somewhere around there. I mean, but
very rugged design.
Rugged design,
they work,
and they go bang. And at the end of the day, I would rather have one than not have one in the event that my my loved one was under attack or I was under attack, right? And so it's time for people, especially people of color, to stand up and realize that organizations like NAGA, organizations like the NRA, if you want to help your neighborhoods, you're going to have to support some of these. People talk about, oh well, the NRA is a racist organization. Well, I mean, when you remember the Josephine Byrd situation, she lived in that Wilmington housing authority. They would not allow weapons.
I don't remember that story. I do remember another one of them.
Well, this was an elderly lady, and she lived in a housing authority. It was supposed, I mean, it was supposed to be for older people, but it was in a rougher side of town, so she wanted to have a weapon to be able to protect herself. And the housing authority said absolutely no guns allowed. If you're going to live here, you can't have a gun. And the NRA.
It's kind of interesting that governments are typically barred from stopping, but they're totally fine with stopping someone from owning a gun.
Yeah.
I
100% agree, but the NRA actually came in and helped with her the cost of her legal fees and got that overturned. And again, it went to pretty high courts. But the NRA stepped in and fought for the rights to keep housing authorities or for keep government housing from disallowing people to have firearms to protect themselves. But then they put this oppressive gun legislation in place. And what has it done? I mean, since these things have gone into place, is Chicago a safer place for people of color, or is it a less safe place?
I don't know the stats for after, but it's definitely not terribly safe.
Well, if it got better, then oh my gosh, how bad was it? Right? It has gotten worse. It's progressively gotten worse. And unfortunately, the people that you were supposedly caring about and wanting to protect have not gotten any safer, but unfortunately have gotten less safe.
Kind of sounds like the root cause of this, though, is single family, single parent family.
Nobody really wants to talk about that, but I mean,
as you've presented
it, the statistics speak for themselves. As we've seen a rise of single motherhood, we have seen a rise in crime rates. You could say it's a coincidence, but I choose to say it's not.
Well, what can be done about it? What is a white man? What can I do?
Um,
Help this.
to be honest, I think the one thing that people like you and myself can do is and I have done, is I've tried to volunteer to, as far as like big brothers, big sisters, trying to be a positive influence on young people. That's something that we can do. We can volunteer to take a kid to church, pick them up and spend some time with them. Try to be a positive influence on them. I mean, that's something that we can do. From a government standpoint, um, we can put incentives in place to help keep families together. We can put incentives in place to help wean people off of assistance. I mean, I was just reading an article on over the weekend that they were complaining that fewer children are on CHIP and on Medicaid now, and more kids are coming off of those programs, and they're blaming the Republicans. Well, in the same article, they say, well, this could be a result of the economy and wages going up and black and brown unemployment being the lowest that it's ever been. And so many of these parents have gotten jobs that have health care benefits, but there's not enough evidence to support this theory.
Wait. So we're racist for wanting people to better themselves.
You can't make this stuff up, man. You can't make this stuff up. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was the Huffington Post, this particular article. You guys can look it up.
Oh, Huffington Post, huh?
Yeah, you guys can look it up yourself. But yeah, so the article was making reference to the fact that these children are essentially losing their coverage. It's Huffington Post. Medicaid and CHIP enrollment on the decline since 2017. Imagine that. So they're saying that it fell by 800,000 last year. The enrollment in 2018 fell by 800,000. And I'm thinking, isn't this a good thing? I mean, isn't it a good thing that parents are able to get off of government assistance? The only reason why this becomes a problem is you understand that as long as I am paying your bills, I have the right to control you in a certain extent, and I have a right to control your vote. The liberal agenda has never necessarily been about helping people as much as it's been about controlling people. And I'll say that as a person who once voted that direction and believed that way, and came out of that. So there's a lot of contradictions, and they tend to contradict themselves constantly. But I was really frustrated to see that first off, that there have been so many people killed this weekend in Chicago, in a city where they have appealed for a common sense gun legislation and have gotten it, and it hasn't gotten them any safer. In fact, I would say that they've gotten less safe as a result of it. So we'll continue to pray for the people of Chicago, or Chirac, as it's been called, and we will continue to do everything we can to speak up on their behalf and speak the truth on their behalf, and not this useless propaganda that we constantly hear on the mainstream media, but to speak the truth about what's going on there in hopes that we can help them and help the good people of Chicago. But we'll be praying for you guys. Thank you guys for joining, for coming on. I know this was a little bit scatterbrained, but had a lot. We weren't able to do our live stream yesterday, so I had a lot of things on my chest, a lot of things on my heart I wanted to talk about. And so thank you for listening, guys. Once again, if you are not subscribing to the channel, be sure to hit that little bell on the bottom here. Subscribe so you get notifications when we drop new content. We'll be dropping quite a bit of content this week, so be on the lookout for that. If you have any suggestions, things you want to talk about, go ahead and leave a comment. Let us know what you'd like to hear or what you'd like to talk about. Or I read all those comments. Every comment that you guys leave, I personally read. I am very interested in what our audience thinks. So if you disagree with me, by all means, please, if you disagree, leave your comment. I'm never going to embarrass you publicly, but maybe you can teach me something. Maybe I can learn something from you. So I'm never above that. Soter, I know you read a lot of those comments as well, don't you know?
Yep, I do.
So
I do.
We do stay engaged that way. But once again, guys, be blessed. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your week. And only you can make the difference, guys. Speak the truth always. Have a great day.